welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 battle report brought to you by the Legion Wargaming, and welcome to Galanthor City, little better than a scattering of decaying manufactura and administrata complexes on the edge of the Great Desert. This is nevertheless the capital of the world of Halthapsis II, and more importantly, the location of the officio of the Ordo Malleus in this system. Convinced that a rogue Inquisitor is responsible for the ambush of the Grey Knights' Fourth Brotherhood in the Therion system following their extraction of an infamous heretic from Tarak IV, Inquisitor Halliday Thirsk has ordered detailed data analysis of all officios cogitator systems in this subsector, and believes that the traitor has recently accessed the Inquisitorial database from this location. But with the possibility of a member of the Ordo turning traitor, no one at the facility can be trusted. A team of Storm Troopers have been dispatched to infiltrate this facility, to seize whatever evidence they can, with authority to terminate any who try to stop them. The battle today is a kill team's game, 200 points, with Militarum Tempestus representing the Inquisitorial Storm Troopers taking on the Astra Militarum armsmen of the officio facility. The mission is infiltrate the camp. Let's take a look at the kill teams. This 200-point Militarum Tempestus kill team consists of a squad of Tempestus Scions and their Chimera dedicated transport. There are 7 Scions in this squad, and their sergeant is the leader of this kill team. He is chasing promotion. 2 of the Scions have plasma guns, and they are both specialists. This Scion is a weapon specialist. His plasma gun is mastercrafted, and this Scion is a guerrilla specialist. He has preferred enemy. There are 4 more Scions, all with hotshot las guns, and the Vox operator is an indomitable specialist. He has Crusader. Their Chimera has its turret mounted multi-laser and a hull mounted heavy flamer. These are the Stormtroopers. They have been ordered to infiltrate this facility. Let's take a look at the Astra Militarum, who form the armsman garrison. This 200-point Astra Militarum kill team are the armsman garrison of the Ordo Malleus facility and consist of a single infantry platoon, comprising a platoon command squad. Their commanding officer is the leader of this kill team, and he has a cunning ruse allowing some of his guardsmen to outflank the advancing stormtroopers. The rest of his command squad consist of a heavy weapons team with a heavy bolter and 2 guardsmen with melter guns. This guardsman is a weapon specialist. His melter gun has ignores cover. There are 2 infantry squads, the first of which contains a heavy weapons team with an autocannon and a guardsman with a plasma gun, and their sergeant is a dirty fighter specialist. His close combat attacks have fleshbane. And the second infantry platoon also contains an autocannon heavy weapons team. This time it is their plasma gunner who is the specialist. He is a guerrilla fighter. He has preferred enemy. This is the garrison. The stormtroopers are hugely outnumbered by these guardsmen, but will they be able to break through? We shall see as we move into deployment. And the kill teams have deployed with all of the stormtroopers mounted up in their Chimera. They are attempting to manoeuvre their way through the ruins as quietly as possible, but they have clearly been detected as the Astra Militarum platoon have manned the barricades. On their right flank we have 1 squad of guardsmen. They have their autocannon team behind these barricades and a lot of guardsmen in support, and they are being given orders by their dirty fighting sergeant moving up behind them as well. On the first floor of this bunker we have the specialist plasma gunner, and on the ground floor we have the specialist melter gunner with ignores cover. Standing next to him we have the platoon commander. The heavy bolter team from the command squad have taken up firing positions. They are supported by 2 guardsmen, 1 stood right next to them and 1 in cover in the bunker in front, and on the left flank we have the other squad of guardsmen. They have their autocannon team behind these barricades with 2 guardsmen in support, but a lot of them are outflanking. We have a sergeant, 2 guardsmen and a melter gunner looking to encircle the advancing stormtroopers. This mission is infiltrate the camp. The stormtroopers will get 1 victory point for every model they successfully move off of the Astra Militarum's table edge. Meanwhile, the Guardsman garrison, they get 1 victory point for every 3 enemy models they destroy. There are secondary objectives available as well, which are First Blood, slay the leader and break the enemy. As the Storm Troopers deployed first and the Astra Militarum have failed to seize initiative, we go into Militarum Tempestus, turn 1. End of Militarum Tempestus, movement phase turn 1, and the Chimera containing all of the Stormtroopers has moved forward at cruising speed. The Stormtroopers have cunningly used this building to shield them from the fire of this autocannon. They know their Chimera's frontal armour can stand up to the fire of this heavy bolter team, and they are hoping that it can also withstand the fire of this autocannon as well. The Astra Militarum defenders have set up an excellent crossfire. As soon as this Chimera breaks cover, it's going to have to expose its vulnerable side armour to their heavy weaponry. But the Stormtroopers are hoping to deal with some of the heavy weapons teams with long range fire. There'll be snapshots, but here's hoping as we go into Militarum Tempestus shooting phase, turn 1. End of Militarum Tempestus shooting phase, turn 1, and both of the Stormtroopers with plasma guns open fire from the top hatch, but the motion of their APC as it smashes its way through these ruins upset their aim. Neither managed to hit the autocannon team on this flank, and nor did the wild spray of laser fire from the Chimera's multi-laser. That is a shame for the Stormtroopers. They're going to have to weather some fire now. They would have preferred to move flat out, but of course that is prohibited by the scenario special rules. Let's see how the Astra Militarum respond. Astra Militarum, turn 1. End of Astra Militarum movement phase, turn 1, and the platoon commander has a plan. He wants his autocannon teams and his plasma guns to destroy this APC. Meanwhile, he has sent his guardsmen running forward to get ready to cut down any of the enemy that spill out of the wrecked vehicle. So on this flank, a lot of guardsmen have run forwards. The autocannon team has held position. The plasma gunner is moving up as well. This plasma gunner has moved out. He has a shot at the front of the Chimera, but it has a good cover save. Unfortunately for the guardsman, this specialist with his melter gun only managed to get 2 inches on his move through cover, so he has not put himself in range. These guardsmen are moving forward as well to create a crossfire, including this weapons team, who are lugging their autocannon forwards. They can now see the Chimera. They will be firing snapshots, but the guardsmen are hopeful as we go into Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 1. End of Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 1, and that phase really could not have gone any worse for the guardsmen. This autocannon managed to hit and penetrate the frontal armour of the Chimera, but it made its cover save. This plasma gunner missed. Meanwhile, the specialist plasma gunner rolled a 1 to hit, but he has preferred enemy, so he re-rolled it, got another 1, and then rolled a 1 for his save. He was taken down by his own weapon, and of course that has given the Stormtroopers first blood. This snap shooting autocannon missed with both of its shots, so the guardsmen decided to run into better positions. They are wary. They can see that this Chimera has a hull mounted heavy flamer, so they have spread out. They are forming a cordon all the way down this street. Meanwhile, the melter gunner and the commander have run back into cover. But that was a terrible first round of firing for the Astra Militarum. Let's see if the Stormtroopers can capitalise on that as we go into Militarum Tempestus, turn 2. End of Militarum Tempestus movement phase, turn 2, and encouraged by the apparent incompetence of this facility's garrison, the Stormtroopers continue to rumble forwards in their Chimera. They have moved another 12 inches. The 2 Stormtroopers with plasma guns are once again preparing to snap shoot from the top hatch, and the rest of the Stormtroopers are manning the las gun arrays. They are going to try to cut their way through this screen of guardsmen. They know that there are autocannon, melter guns, plasma guns, and that their Chimera may not last much longer, but they are determined to make the most of it as we go into Militarum Tempestus shooting phase, turn 2. End of Militarum Tempestus shooting phase, turn 2, and both of the stormtroopers with plasma guns once again opened fire from the top hatch, but they were firing snapshots and they missed all 4 of their shots against this Astra Militarum plasma gunner, despite one of them having mastercrafted and the other having preferred enemy. The multi-laser, again firing snapshots, targeted this autocannon team in the open but did not manage a single hit. The lasgun arrays fared better. 1 guardsman in this street has been shot down in a hail of las fire, but that is bad news for the stormtroopers. There are a lot of heavy and special weapons, and now the Chimera is not going to have the benefit of cover. The Astra Militarum think they can knock it out as we go into Astra Militarum Turn 2. Start of Astra Militarum Turn 2, and all 4 of their outflanking guardsmen have arrived. The 2 guardsmen with las guns have moved on. They are looking to add their fire if this Chimera can hopefully be cracked open this turn, but bad news for the Astra Militarum as the guardsman with the melter gun and the sergeant have moved on from this flank. They are a long way from the action, but the Astra Militarum are very optimistic about this turn as we go into their second movement phase. End of Astra Militarum movement phase Turn 2, and this autocannon team have held position. They have an excellent shot at the side armour of the Chimera now. So does the heavy bolter team, although it will get a cover save for this intervening building. And of course this autocannon team is going to continue to plough its shots into the front armour. This guardsman with the plasma gun has moved forward to get into the side arc of the Chimera. Meanwhile, the rest of the guardsmen are moving in. They are preparing their las guns for a killing volley. The only piece of bad news for the guardsman is that this specialist with his melter gun only managed to move 3 inches. He has not got himself into melter range, but the side armour of a Chimera is only 10, so a melter gun can still punch through even at its maximum range. Let's see Astra Militarum shooting phase Turn 2. End of Astra Militarum shooting phase Turn 2, and the Chimera has endured another round of the Astra Militarum's firing, helped out by some dreadful accuracy. This autocannon started well, managing 2 hits on the frontal armour of the Chimera, but both of the shells ricocheted harmlessly off. This plasma gunner missed a great opportunity by missing both of his plasma gun shots into its side armour, and the melter gunner in the street missed as well, and so did this autocannon. That was dreadful fire discipline from the guardsman, but this heavy bolter has rescued the phase to some extent by managing a single penetrating hit on the side armour of the Chimera, which has stunned it, so at least the guardsmen have stopped it moving forwards. The rest of the guardsmen in the street, they are all running forwards, desperate for this APC to be taken out so that they can gun down its occupants, but they will have to wait, and the guardsmen that arrived from outflank are continuing to run to bolster the main line. But another disappointing turn for the guardsmen. They cannot believe that the Chimera has not been destroyed yet. Let's see if the stormtroopers decide to deploy and take the fight to the guardsmen in Militarum Tempestus Turn 3. End of Militarum Tempestus movement phase Turn 3, and with their Chimera stunned, the Scions have decided that they are going to need to cut their way through these guardsmen to clear a path, and they have deployed. We have 3 Scions on this side of their APC, including one of the specialists with his plasma gun, and the other 4, including the other specialist and the sergeant, have deployed this side. They are going to try to cut through the guardsmen with the special weapons and the heavy weapons teams. They are the real danger. Let's see how they get on. Militarum Tempestus shooting phase Turn 3. End of Militarum Tempestus shooting phase Turn 3, and the snap shooting Chimera once again missed this autocannon team in the open with its multi-laser, but then the stormtroopers showed why they are the elite. The first Scion opened fire with his hotshot lasgun, cutting down the plasma gunner in the street, and the second Scion followed suit, cutting down the melter gunner. This specialist with his plasma gun decided to try and sow confusion amongst the garrison by shooting down their commanding officer. He managed to hit and wound this guardsman with his plasma gun, but the officer made his cover save. Meanwhile, the other plasma gun carrying specialist has done very well, annihilating the autocannon team with a volley of shots, and the sergeant and the 2 remaining Scions managed to take out another guardsmen with a volley from their hot shot las guns. The Militarum Tempestus have taken out some very vital Astra Militarum assets during this turn. Have they done enough? Let's see. Astra Militarum, turn 3. End of Astra Militarum movement phase turn 3, and now that the stormtroopers have disembarked from their Chimera, the guardsmen are moving in. They are getting ready to unleash a huge volley of fire from their las guns. We have 3 guardsmen behind these barricades here, 3 advancing across the street and a sergeant, and 1 is skirting round behind the stormtroopers in this building. Meanwhile, the autocannon and the heavy bolter, they've held position. They are still going to concentrate their fire on the Chimera. This sergeant is moving up, so is the outflanking melter gunner, but he is a long way away, and the last 2 guardsmen have formed up behind this barricade. Meanwhile, their commander has decided he is not going to put himself at needless risk again and give up a victory point. He has moved out of line of sight on the first floor of this bunker. If the guardsmen put in a good phase here, they could wipe out the stormtroopers. Let's see. Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 3. End of Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 3, and as this sergeant and the melter gunner run desperately to get into the fight, the autocannon and the heavy bolter teams open fire on the Chimera. The heavy bolter managed 2 hits but had no effect against the tank's armour. Meanwhile, the autocannon managed a single hit, but that was only a glance. The Chimera has 1 hull point remaining and will be mobile again as all of the rest of the guardsmen concentrated their fire on the Scions. But it has been another disastrous round of firing from the Astra Militarum. They had 21 las gunshots. They managed to inflict 5 wounds on various members of this Tempestus Scion squad, but the stormtroopers made all 5 of their 4+ carapace armour saves. The Astra Militarum cannot believe it. The Emperor must be watching over these stormtroopers as we go into Militarum Tempestus, turn 4. End of Militarum Tempestus movement phase, turn 4, and secretly not believing their luck, the stormtroopers have all piled back into their Chimera, and it has rumbled forward into this compound, and then it has spun around. The stormtroopers are preparing for the rear ramp to hammer down, and then they can all spill out into the facility. But first, they're going to give some more fire. It will be snapshots again, but they're hoping they can keep these guardsmen at bay. Militarum Tempestus shooting phase, turn 4. End of Militarum Tempestus shooting phase, turn 4, and once again the Chimera missed with its multi-laser. It has not rolled a single 6 to hit with any snapshots so far this game, and both of the stormtroopers with plasma guns have missed once again as they try to cut down these guardsmen. The only casualty inflicted was the dirty fighting sergeant, who was gunned down by 1 bank of the Chimera's las gun arrays. Only 1 casualty inflicted. The guard still have a chance if they can break open the Chimera. It only has 1 hull point remaining. They may even be able to take on the Tempestus Scions with a bayonet charge as we go into Astra Militarum, turn 4. End of Astra Militarum movement phase, turn 4, and the guardsmen are swarming towards this Chimera. They are fixing bayonets and preparing to charge. Even their commander has come down from the bunker. He is gunning his chainsaw, but it all relies on this melter gunner who has moved up, or this heavy bolter team, or this autocannon team finally managing to take the Chimera's last hull point. Let's see if they can do it. Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 4. End of Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 4, and they have finally managed to take out the Chimera, although they made very hard work of it as the melter gunner missed. The heavy bolter team only managed a single hit which could not penetrate the Chimera's armour. Finally, a single glance was inflicted by this autocannon team, and that has finally wrecked the Stormtroopers APC, and they have come spilling out of the rear ramp. Bad news for the guardsmen, they are not pinned. All of the guardsmen spilling across the street that are too far away to charge have opened fire, and they've finally taken out 1 of the Scions with a volley from their las guns. There are 6 Scions left here, and this commander and the 5 guardsmen in the compound are going to charge. If they can charge in, and take on these scions, they can prevent them from achieving their mission. Let's see. Astra Militarum Assault Phase, turn 4. End of Astra Militarum Assault Phase, turn 4, and good news for the Guardsmen as 4 out of the 6 made their charge successfully, including the platoon commander, although one was blown to pieces by an overwatch shot from this specialist's plasma gun. The 3 Guardsmen all charged in with their bayonets screaming, but they have all failed to take out the stormtroopers that they charged. They have survived the stormtroopers' return attacks, but that leaves 3 stormtroopers, including the sergeant, to move straight into the facility, and that may well be enough. We shall see as we go into Militarum Tempestus, turn 5. End of Militarum Tempestus movement phase, turn 5, and leaving their comrades to give their lives, delaying the vengeful guardsman garrison, the sergeant and 2 of his stormtroopers have moved straight into the facility, earning 3 victory points for the Militarum Tempestus. With all 3 remaining stormtroopers locked in assault, there is no shooting phase at all. We go straight into Militarum Tempestus Assault Phase, turn 5. End of Militarum Tempestus Assault Phase, turn 5, and these guardsmen have left it until the very end of the game to demonstrate that they are in fact determined to keep the intruders out of this facility. It's just a shame they are too late, but the commander and the guardsmen have cut down all 3 of the stormtroopers that were delaying them, although one of the scions did manage to take out a guardsman with a bayonet thrust as he went down, and that has brought the game to a close as there are no more Militarum Tempestus forces on the table. They are either lying dead or they have successfully infiltrated the facility. In terms of victory points, the Guard have managed to get 2 right at the end. They got 1 victory point for taking out 3 models, and they got another victory point for finally, with the last die roll of the game, breaking the stormtroopers. But the Militarum Tempestus managed to get 1 point for First Blood, and of course with 3 of them successfully moving into the officio of the Ordo Malleus, they have got another 3. The final score is 4 points to the stormtroopers, 2 to the Astra Militarum garrison. It would be fair to say that the stormtroopers definitely had more than their fair share of the luck during this game, right up until the final turn. But you know what they say, the Emperor protects, especially if his hand is moving through his loyal servants. Thanks very much for watching. We hope you enjoy these Kill Team games. They are very, very fun to play, and we are going to be doing some more in future. Please subscribe to our channel, and we will keep producing as many Warhammer 40,000 battle reports as we can. See ya.